Jesus taught in parables. In chapter 18 of the Gospel of Luke, he tells this parable. Two men went up to the temple to pray. One was a Pharisee, the other was a tax collector. The Pharisee stood and prayed like this with himself. "O God, I do thank thee that I am not like the rest of mankind, greedy, dishonest, impure, or even like that tax collector over there. I fast twice a week. I give away 10th part of my income." But the tax collector stood in a distant corner, scarcely daring to look up to heaven, and with a gesture of despair said, "God, have mercy on a sinner like me." I assure you that he was the man who went home justified in God's sight rather than the other one. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted. End of quote. This parable, of course, talks about humility. And as we are meditating on the Ascension, we do need to examine ourselves concerning our attitudes and our motivations. We need to make sure that we are manifesting that humility that was manifested in our beloved Lord. Serapis Bey, in his book Dossier on the Ascension, has a whole chapter on the banner of humility. I will quote several paragraphs that speak to this topic very well. He said, "To raise an individual is a glorious thing when that individual lies prone in hope, in faith, and in charity, awaiting an act of God to reconcentrate the self to the simple quality of humility. For there is an act of false pride, which manifests as false humility and causes individuals to appear humble, whereas in reality they reek with pride. This false humility is often manifest in subtle ways, and it is a mockery of the real. Shun then all that is not real and virtuous, the thoughts of thine own heart, and mend the thoughts of thy heart if they seem to be trifling with eternal purpose. You came forth for one cause and one cause alone, and that is to manifest God's light. No greater purpose has come to anyone, and no lesser purpose. While our mastery stands as a rainbow of promise to unascended men, this promise can never remain their guiding light unless they shed human pride. Pride takes many forms, and true humility but one. True humility must be worn eternally. It is not a garment you place upon you for a moment, for a day, or a year, or when passing a test. It is an undergarment with which God himself is clothed, and unless it surround thee, thy hopes of attainment are slim indeed. End of quote. Because of what some call a paradigm or perception filter, and all of us have one, we do not see sometimes our own limitation of being able to see our false pride. It is like buying a unique piece of clothing that you never saw before. But when you wore it for the first time, you saw many of them around. Because you didn't have it in your conscious awareness, you filtered it out until your attention was on it and you bought one. So is pride, a sneaky thing. We don't really recognize that we have it until a master points it out, or we stop to meditate and are suddenly shown how it manifests in us and how it is affecting our relationship with others as well as our own being. This is what we learn in Gautama's concept of walking the middle way. You don't see yourself as nothing or lesser than others, nor do you take the other extreme to see yourself as above others. We need to see that we are the manifestation of our Father, Mother, God. Therefore, we are the reflection of something greater than our physical being. We are manifestations of the eternal Spirit of God in whose image we were created. We are not separate and apart from God, but rather a manifestation of Himself or herself. We are God's self, ever transcending Himself. We are life, becoming life. We are constantly becoming more of His Spirit. As Jesus constantly reminded us, the words I say to you are not my own. Rather, it is the Father living in me who is doing His work. Believe me when I say that I am in the Father and the Father is in me. Or at least, believe on the evidence of the miracles themselves. I tell you the truth. Anyone who has faith in me will do what I have been doing. He will do even greater things than these, because I am going to the Father. John 14:10-12. You see, we are not separate and apart from, but one in and with our Father. As Paul said, I died on the cross with Christ, and my present life is not of the old I, but the living Christ within me. It's from Galatians 2:20 with Phillips translation. This is what humility is. And self-transcendence is the daily move in consciousness toward total union with God in the Ascension. Therefore, let us each day take steps to transcend ourselves and become more of the Christ in our thinking, in our speaking, and in our feelings. May God bless you as you transcend yourself, reaching for that goal of the Ascension. God bless you.